Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is John Van Lunen, and you are listening to Treasures of the Outer Banks, the podcast that celebrates the people and places that make the Outer Banks special. This is episode 31, and in this episode, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Julie Moye, the owner of KDH Cooperative, which is a gallery and studio located on the bypass in Kildeville Hills. We had a great conversation about the local art culture and how it's being shaped and moving forward on the Outer Banks. Be sure to stick around to the very end. She talks about an annual event she has on Christmas Eve. Definitely something you want to check out. We had a lot of fun sitting down with this talk, so sit back. We had a lot of fun discussing this. We had a lot of fun talking about the local art scene. I think you'll have We had a lot of fun talking about the local art scene. I think you'll like this episode, so sit back and enjoy. We are high atop the South Croatan Highway at the KDH Art Co-op. Is that what we call this place?
KDH Cooperative.
Cooperative, Got it. Julie, thanks for sitting down with me today. How long have you been here?
22 years it will be on May 5th. That's Cinco de Mayo. We always celebrate. That's how I remember
Big celebration.
That. Big time, yeah.
And what was the impetus to open this place?
I was an art teacher, and I always was seeking places to sell my own work, which of course was limited at that time, just being a full-time teacher. But I grew up in a family of business people, and I grew up as a business person myself, and so it was just a natural inclination and desire to have a business, and that just seemed like the right fit. And I'm so fortunate to have family, emotional and financial support just to get it started, and here we go.
Is a business art person kind of an oxymoron?
I know.
Because it goes against the starving artist.
Yes, I think you're right. Well, I guess by some standards, I probably am a starving artist, but you have to keep your standard to a level that you can achieve. But no, I don't know. My family was in business in restaurants, cabinet shop, bars,
Sure.
different things. And, so just kind of growing up, understanding what it takes to be a self-employed person. It means you get to make all the choices, but most of the time you just work as long and fast as you can, and then so that's that,
right.
As you know yourself.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we could share a lot of stories.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned something about there weren't a lot of places to show your art back then. Has that changed?
Oh my goodness, yes. There's so many wonderful shops and galleries and just venues down here more than ever. So many places kind of cut across different barriers these days, where you see art selling in a place that sells, submarine sandwiches and beer and whatnot. So there's that. I think that's more than ever has opened up and become more, hopefully, fruitful for the artist, but also just really more commonplace, even for the shopper, to see art selling everywhere, but also just galleries too. There's just a lot more,
Right.
Yeah. This started, 22 years ago, and of course there was a year or so or more in the planning, and just getting this building habitable, and that might be questionable based on standards again. But so teaching all that time that I was still working for a great part of that, just sort of planning and scheming. I'm sure very ignorant about at the time, really what was available, because I was busy working full time. So, but I have definitely seen it increase here a lot.
Yeah, I just had Noah Snyder sit down for a podcast episode, and he was at a local show, and he was shocked at how many great artists were producing stuff on this beach. Have you seen just the artist population explode as well?
Yes, absolutely. And the quality. I mean, we have, just people coming here with already really refined skills and talents and education and experience. And not all of them are, 20-somethings. People move here as retired people as well, and they've had full careers as artists prior to even arriving here. So then you have that, and they're looking for places to show their work, and they're very accomplished even before they get step foot here. And that's not all, but you just see people that grow up here, and with the influence of the beautiful surroundings,
right.
And there are opportunities, and then there's some fabulous art schools in the state of North Carolina, and then they come back here. So
nice.
We have that too.
Nice.
Yeah.
And obviously you're an artist. What's your favorite medium to work with?
Well, I'm a multimedia artist. Because I was an art teacher, you kind of get trained in a lot of different media, and then you fall in love with every one, and then you don't ever want to let go of any of them. And so, in a way, that's that's terrible because, well, I'll have to say to the listening audience, John is sitting amongst what most people would consider a pile of rubble, which is my studio.
This is my kind of place. I fit
it's
right in
full
here.
of everything in the world. And often people look around like, when are you ever going to use that thing? And I think, well, I don't know, 10 more years maybe.
I could stand up here and just stare at everything for hours.
There's a lot. It's a sensory overload of stuff.
Yep.
But I do love, I guess if you had to pick a thing, I love to repurpose and recycle cast off. So I like to work with garbage, I'd say. I really love working with garbage. Not stinky garbage.
I produce a lot of garbage, so we got to go into business together.
So, yeah, that's
okay.
me.
Nice. And obviously you do a lot of classes here. So you're teaching, you never gave up the teaching. You still do a lot of teaching here.
Well, I did for 20 years, and then COVID hit, and then I was kind of shut down during that time. And this is something that you see with retired people, although I'm not retired, is that when you stop doing a thing, you wonder how did you ever have the time to do that job. And
right.
that happened to me with teaching. I was teaching children's classes for 20 years here at the gallery, and adult classes also during that time. And then COVID came, and I couldn't teach, and I just started doing other things. And so I haven't taught since COVID here at the gallery. I may again. I have to find this time.
Yeah.
And I have found that a lot of artists who I work with here are kind of in the same boat. Many of them would teach classes now and then, but I can't seem to find anybody who will give up their time anymore.
Right.
They're hoarding their time. Well, understandably, we're all trying to just do what we do.
Yeah. We're outer bankers. We just hustle.
Just keep doing it, So, yeah. But I did love working with the kids, and they're so inspiring at times for my own work. I get so much from what they're doing.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Any adult classes?
No, we don't have any classes going on right now. We get people asking constantly, so there's a need for it. I try to refer them to anybody I know that's teaching something at the time, and there are lots of opportunities for art classes around the Outer Banks. I just don't happen to offer any of them here at the moment.
Understood.
Yeah, at the moment.
And did you have this building built yourself?
Oh my gosh, no! This building is a whole story in itself. I won't go to the entirety of it, but
what was it before this?
So in 1972, it was built. Russ Beal was the artist who built it. And he's quite famous locally. I mean, old timers would know his name, and he was very very accomplished wood carver. And I mean, he had taken some awards nationally for some of his toys that he created. I have an article from Parade magazine from like 1970 something, and they featured his award-winning carved wooden toys. And there were a few pieces still in the gallery when I got it. I mean, it was really in a state of near rubble when we took it over. And the family, now he had died back in 90. Let me think. I can't remember, 91 maybe. And his widow still lived, but she was infirm and in a nursing home. And so her family was really in charge of liquidating her assets because they had to come up with funding for her, and all of that had to happen. So we worked a deal, bought the place, and then it took an entire year to just get it cleared out and at least, like I say, habitable. And yeah, it was there were times when I now I'm not exaggerating either, because I have a friend that could verify this, where I would be working in here before the electricity was turned back on, and it would be, 98 degrees inside and outside, dusty and disgusting and dirty, and I would just be like laying on the floor crying, like, what have I done? Oh my God. But anyway, it all came together, and some great people came forth to get involved, and as soon as we could, we opened, and I think we had 21 artists when we first opened, and I was so amazed and proud that many people would come forward to participate with this. It was a big commitment.
Yeah.
Because they were going to work here and everything. And then it just grew from there. I think we have 49 now. So it's grown.
Wait, is that vendors, or is that just people involved?
Yeah, that's artists. And so 49 of them total, but then more than half of them actually work here in the building. So they volunteer as, running the gallery. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And that just kind of keeps you going. Do they get a break on? So does each vendor artist pay rent?
Not really rent necessarily. It's not really. Membership dues.
Okay. And
then they get a really low commission rate. So if an artist is a consigner, that's just standard issue 60-40 split. The artist takes 60% of their sale. They don't have any work requirements or anything like that. But the member artists pay dues, and they work here, and they really take an active interest in displaying their works, helping other people display their work, everything, just everything. It's really a community, just like a traditional co-op.
Okay.
Yeah.
I find it cool that it was a studio before you got here.
Yeah, it was. And he taught classes here too.
Is that right?
In fact, I have friends that took some carving classes from him back in the 70s, and he was notoriously a cantankerous guy, kind of grumpy, didn't really like children that much. Now, this is third-hand information here, but I think there was enough of these stories for me to believe that he was quite ill-mannered around children. And anyway, so some of them, talked about taking his classes here and stuff. And he was known for, anybody who ever met him would know, he was very well known to sit down at Lance's Seafood Market, if you remember that place. Remember. Well, that's in Nags Head, and I think now it's turned into a wedding venue or something. Okay. Anyway, it's been many, many things since Lance's Seafood.
I think I know what you mean there.
And he would sit there drinking his drink. I think he drank bourbon and something, and carving. And he would carve the shavings all over the place, including on people's legs, feet, the bar. And in fact, my husband knew him, and he just talked about him being such an old crank. But it's such an interesting story. With him, there were a million stories of him. And just back in the 70s, there was hardly anything going on here.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So how would you describe the local art scene right now?
Let's see. There's a lot of opportunities for artists right now. I think that because we're a tourist economy, that really the art scene here is, I don't like to use the word commercial, but I can't help but to use the word commercial.
How about tourist driven?
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. And that's not a bad thing. I think it's an okay thing. Yeah, the people that come here and they want to take something home that's made here, I love that. I'm really happy that happens. It does determine some things about what we create, and that's okay too. Some artists might not like that in terms of like feeling like it's a little sort of, make your painting to match the couch kind of thing, but I don't know. You're able to make a living here doing it, so it's got its ups and downs in that way.
Right. You know what the customer wants.
That's
and
it.
if you want to
That's
survive
right.
and
That's
make a
it.
living.
Those of us who are trying to actually earn money at it.
As long as you're not totally selling out on something.
Right. Well, and really, to me, selling out on art would be going and taking a job. And that's a 4-letter word, job, right? It's not a good word. Yeah, exactly.
So who are the big names on the Outer Banks?
Well, there's so many, I hate to even say, because, I'll leave somebody out for certain, but you see them. You see them everywhere you go. When you go into a restaurant and there's large paintings, you're gonna see those same names on paintings in the Arts Council gallery, in our gallery, in art shows along the waterfront and places like that. So you just interviewed Noah Snyder. He's a pretty big name. Marcia Klein. We have Rick Nilsson here at the gallery. Holly Nettles, and I say these names only just because they're people that sell a lot of paintings because they produce a lot of paintings.
Right.
It has nothing to say about all the people who don't produce that much, their talent and skill level. I mean, because life is going on in the meantime.
Yeah.
Children and parents and
Yep.
whatever. Anyway, I find that the most prolific painters, of course, and Dawn Moraga, she's everywhere you look, and she's really, really great about promoting herself, promoting others, and she's on social media. I just think that those who are just out there doing it all the time, painting or doing pottery or whatever your thing is, if you're just doing it all the time, you're the big name. You did it. You're
right.
there, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And those are great names, and I've heard of some of those. But is there anybody or are there a few people that have just been here for decades? Like, do you have a mentor from from way back that's still around?
Well, no. I mean, I would say, some of those names that, because of I'm in my mid-50s, so I guess I'm dangerously on the other side of mid-50s, to be completely honest. But, so some of those that I found inspiration from are gone now.
Right?
They've deceased. Glenn Ure, Don Bryan, goodness. There's so many,
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I, work like them or anything like that, but just the inspiration of like getting out there and doing it all the time, just continually doing it and sort of breaking ground with how do you be an art gallery on the Outer Banks?
Right.
Good grief. Think about Glenn Ure back in the 70s.
Right.
How do you be an art gallery in the Outer Banks on the 70s? You probably starve a lot of the time, I could believe,
Yeah, you're open maybe 100 days.
Yeah. So, those kinds of, he inspired me so much just in that way. In fact, when I was really working on getting this gallery going, he and Pat were so generous in their, just their support. They were always offering to help in any way they could. I mean, just knowing that they were there saying those things just made me feel so much better.
Right.
It's kind of scary to open a business, as you know yourself.
Right.
It's risky.
Is there any competition? I mean, is it like nasty competition,
gosh,
or is it just a really tight fraternity of owners?
I would say that's how I feel about it. There may be some that don't feel that way, but I guess I'm oblivious to it. I just I just go on about my Pollyanna way and ignore it. But I know I'm always supportive of other galleries, always trying to send people to the place where they can find what and who they're looking for. And I feel that they do the same. One of my favorite places to send people just for really beautiful and interesting artwork is Sea Green Gallery
like
down on
place.
the,
Cool
and they're
place.
close by. That we're only a few miles apart, but I just love their whole style, and they send us people all the time. We send them people, and I just feel like that's, like you say, like a fraternity of gallery owners. And also Pat Ure, she's still out.
Is that right?
Doing it. She's still there, and she's got help now, and I think.
Is the Your Gallery still open?
Yeah.
Nice.
And that, they sort of defined Gallery Row.
Yeah.
And they're still doing it, thank goodness. And she does more of one-man shows and that sort of thing than we do. We're more set up commercially. We just have to. We have to pay the bills. So we are constantly changing in here.
Right.
New work.
Kind of a volume thing of
Oh,
sorts.
totally. Yeah. More retail selling, and so we're trying to always just be stocked in the thing that's the customer's looking for. Whether, and some of our greatest, items that sell out of here are small take home things like pottery and jewelry and stuff like that. So
nice.
Yeah.
And so we have Gallery Row in Nags Head. and we have a few other places like this, places sprinkled in between. But of course, you got Duck and Roanoke Island's got a
they've got
a few
they
galleries,
do,
right?
and they've got the Arts Council Gallery over there, which is a
Right,
fabulous
right.
place. And then Faye Edwards has a gallery downtown there now. We've got in Duck. There's several really really beautiful galleries over there. Sea Dragon, which is Yellow House Gallery. And then there's others that are more commercial, and they're selling more regional and even more national works. So we really, really specifically only sell local artists here. So that's, I think, what is our primary draw for our customers. They're just, and we obviously can't sell every local artist that's on the Outer Banks, but we sort of curate and we jury for quality. And
I was going to say, I think there's some artists that sprinkle themselves all over the place, right?
yes, and I get it.
Yeah.
I understand how that works.
Yeah.
We don't often have those people in here simply because we really, if they have enough venues, then they do.
Yeah.
We really try when we specifically try to support those artists who are with us.
Sure.
That's a big deal. We're
Absolutely.
each out there always talking about each other and getting it, supporting each other in that way.
Right. As you're sitting here kind of watching the cultural, the local art world go forward, anything you'd like to see? Any changes you'd like to see? Or a wish list of things?
I would love to see more public art. That's really something that... And
What do
I've
you mean
done,
by that?
Okay, well, art that is installed permanently, generally it would be like in parks and public buildings, anything. Now there has been some of that. Some of that has been driven by like public fundraising events to put art somewhere. Now some towns and cities around the country will have like a 1% for the arts budget that goes into every public building. So 1% of the funding for that building will be put to some art that will stay there forever.
Okay.
Now here we have a lot of like commercial venues that put art in their shops and restaurants and stuff, but generally that's at the expense of the artist. I find that they put it
Right.
well, they put it there, it's for sale, and they don't they're just offering,
And there's no permanence to it at all.
right, they're just offering the space. Understandably, that is kind of a relationship.
They sold out the space.
It's kind of a that's that relationship. But I'd love to see more permanent sculpture, mosaic, murals, etc. that would be, put in public buildings. We've got a lot of them. The courthouse did a great. They did a project, and I think that was really generated by the Arts Council, and they bought many pieces of art that are permanently installed there in the courthouse. And the hospital did the same. I think the hospitals was funded by the hospital, since I believe that's a corporate venture there. But they had sort of a competition, and then artists submitted, and then there was a jury that picked several, many pieces to go in there. So if you do unfortunately ever end up in the hospital or visiting somebody there, you see lots of original art hanging everywhere.
That's great.
Yeah. So I'd love to see more of that. And even on the outside would be fun to see, like, sculptures. There was one not too long ago over at the Bomb Center here in Kill Devil Hills, and it was basically a call for entries, and this was I believe it was a Virginia artist that and sadly I can't tell you his name at the moment, but he did a beautiful sculpture that is permanently installed there right in front of their gardens at the Bomb Center. But that sort of thing could really be happening all over this Outer Banks. We have a lot of great spaces for things like that.
Right.
So that's
right.
my wish.
Don't you think the new playground over by Nags Head Elementary, I don't know, it was set up very artistically, I would say.
Yes, it was.
I don't know if there's any real art there, but it does look artistic as you drive by.
Yes, I do. And I think there were some, I think there was at least one art project. I can't remember how it ended, who won that commission. But I think there will be another for
Nice.
for their second phase, I believe. And Nags Head has done a great job of, they do the same for their offices. They have done basically call for entries, and they, in their town office, they have a lot of original work. Some of our artists here at the gallery have pieces in there.
Right?
So that's just the beginning, you know.
Yeah.
Love to see more on the outside, because I think that draws public attention
Right.
everywhere you go.
Nice.
I mean, I've been in places where they have it, all the schools have public art, and, you know, and sometimes it's volunteer, you know, but other times it's paid commissions to the artist, you know.
Nice.
So that'd be fun to see.
Yeah. So people are always relocating to the Outer Banks. Do you see a steady stream of artists relocating to the Outer Banks as well?
Yeah, I definitely do. I can't tell you how many times, especially in the summer, we have people come in and say, yeah, we're retiring here. We're building a house. My husband's retired and I'm an artist, or the other way around.
Right.
And how do you apply for membership to the gallery, et cetera. And, you know, so it's great. I mean, we do. We see it happen all the time. I'm constantly referring people to all the different galleries around where they might find a friendly venue for their type of work, depending on what they're doing. And certainly always recommend the Dare County Arts Council.
Right.
Because they...
To become is there a membership for that?
Yeah,
as well?
that's a membership. Okay. And then to show in the gallery is a juried process as well. Okay. It's a separate thing altogether. But I think they do theirs, I can't remember if they're once or twice a year either, but somewhere in there. And so there's always opportunities to get your work out there.
Do you have a cap for this business? I mean,
well, just physically,
that's
you know,
what I
it's
mean,
really, yeah. I mean, the most we've had is maybe 52 people at one time showing here, but depending on who those people are, the size and breadth of their work, you can't, you know, you don't know. Like one of our potters, and I'll mention it, she's a dear friend of mine, Amy Gentry. She is one of the most prolific potters and artists I've ever known. I constantly tell her she's crazy, because I don't think she sleeps 2 hours a night because she's working into the night. But and I have those months myself, so I can't really just stand here and point the finger. I do the same thing at times. But she turns over the work, boy.
Is that right?
I mean, she just sells so much pottery. So, you know, how many Amy Gentry potters can you have in a building? One.
Yeah, right.
And then you might have some others that do half as much work.
Right. And you're probably looking for some balance too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want everything to be blue and green.
Yeah.
You know, you need to have a variety of styles, and I think we do. You know, over the years we've that's one of the things about jurying. It's really difficult to jury people's work who submit here for membership, because you can't simply look at skill level, talent, or anything like that. You have to look at, you know, first of all, do we have room to hang anything of yours? You know, if they're all 4x4 feet, you know, we could hang a couple. If, you know, are they all $4,000? Well, I don't know that we need to hang any of them, because they may be here a long, long time. You know, so there's so many criteria to, like, you know, what's the balance? And like you said, you have to know who your customer is. What do they want?
Right.
You know, how many people can carry a 4x4 painting out of here to their home?
Right.
It's a few.
Do you get a lot of requests to ship stuff?
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, constantly. Yes. And that is,
I can imagine.
It's good. I mean, I've gotten pretty fast at it now. I can't say I enjoy it, but I do it.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Grit my teeth and do it.
Yeah. I feel, you know, just from all the little things I've done, it's kind of the price of living on the Outer Banks, right? It's like people want your stuff, but it's going to have to ship somewhere else.
Yes, and we have visitors from Hawaii, and it's like, oh my goodness, of course we're going to have to ship everything they get. Yeah. let's lead them over here to the lightweight, soft things.
Right. I know exactly what you mean. And then you battle with okay, how much am I going to charge to make this worth my while?
Oh,
because
my gosh.
I'm going above and beyond.
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah, to pack pottery. You know, you're packing pottery to ship across the country. It's like, oh, you have to pack it so well.
Well, you kind of alluded to it a few minutes ago, but any advice you'd give new artists that are relocating to the Outer Banks?
Oh, gosh. Well, so much of that is age dependent. And
yeah.
What do you need? Where's your career at the time?
Right.
But so if it's a new artist, like a brand new, coming out of college or whatever, I would say take a job so that you get to know a lot of people. That's so helpful, just getting to know other people. And then just call or walk in and talk to different galleries that really suit your work. And they don't necessarily have to be galleries. It could be boutiques or shops, or it depends on what you're doing. And just speak to them so that like, when do they want to see your work? If they ever want to see it. If they want to see it, be there then. Walk in with it, or email pictures of it, or whatever you have to do. But each one's going to be different, and each time, the timing is all different. So I definitely say, here's a big no-no. Do not ever show up in July with a trunk full of your work and say, do you want to see my work? Because we'll mark you name. You'll be on that do not talk to list. This person has no idea. Let's go, yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I think if for a person starting out, gosh, there's a lot of opportunity here. And for a person who just wants to continue their career from whatever town or city they're coming from.
Right.
And it's, we're so fortunate that social media and sort of internet galleries are going so strong. There's that, we're so lucky.
Right.
But as far as selling locally, I would walk around and just see what looks like my work.
Right.
Where is the shop that looks like me?
Yeah.
And see.
And there's so many choices right now.
Yeah,
Really
and as far as like outdoor shows, now I personally am beyond the age of doing that.
Yeah.
It's too exhausting and hot and buggy and sweaty and all that stuff.
Right.
But for those of you who have that stamina, there's a million of those now.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
They're also called farmer markets, which
Yeah.
they never seem to have any food, but
Yeah, right. That's true.
I tease.
Yes, no, you're right.
But
Yeah.
they're more artist markets than
That's
anything
so
else.
true,
And
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Good fun.
And there's some all the way down from Ocracoke Island all the way up to Kerala. There's shows happening all the time. So definitely get on the notifications list from the Arts Council. They will be able. They keep us.
They keep track of all
They
that.
do. They keep you in the. As long as people notify them,
Yeah.
then they can get the word out where the next show is and stuff. So.
Do you have any projects, or is the business pushing in a direction that maybe nobody knows about, or?
Oh my goodness. Well, no, not really. I'd say we're just, proceeding as usual. We've taken on a little bit more of a active role in social media promotion lately, which has been really great because I'm old enough to where that stuff is. It's newer than me. How do you say that? So I stress and struggle with those things, but thankfully I have younger people around me that don't. So we try to just show people what's going on here, how much,
Well,
things.
you are dealing with a visual medium, so
Yes.
it's fun to share it on social media so people can look at it from all around the world, and I get that part. That's kind of what I did in the water sports business. It's you could tell a story, but the picture of a person on parasailing or jet skiing is going to be a lot more interesting.
Yeah,
So I totally get that part. So do you have an online business?
Yeah,
set up?
we have a website and a Facebook page and an Instagram page.
And can people order stuff right through there?
Well, we tried to do that for a while. I could never dedicate enough time to make it really pan out. We did start that, and then it sort of just, right now crickets are chirping in that room. But
Gotcha.
yeah, but people, here's the funny thing, is people will find a way to buy online, even if you are a reluctant seller online.
Yeah.
So I recently had a customer send me a picture of one of the pictures that she saw on our Facebook page. She actually sent the picture to a message with the piece circled that she wanted to see.
Sure.
Now, it was way off in the distance. You could barely tell what it was. So then I was able to photograph it closer up. We had many exchanges back and forth, and she bought the piece. It was like, wow, that was just so arduous. She did it, and she held out. She just kept on, persisted. Yeah. So it's just amazing to me sometimes when people shop like that. And many times those are people of my generation
Right.
who don't really care if it's online or not. They're sort of shopping anyway. It's really
easy.
cool.
It's easy.
Yeah.
So I had a similar epiphany in the water sports business, and that was, for years I was like, if we could allow people to book online, that'd be a game changer.
Yeah.
But the technology just didn't catch up. Well, nobody had written a program just for water sports. Well, when they finally did, hallelujah, that was so great, because you were making money in your sleep. You'd wake up the next morning and we just sold 4 jet skis today, and it's a good feeling.
That is incredible. I know, and those kinds of stories inspire me, John, to just try harder. But and like I say, I'm so lucky to have some younger people, and some people who are not younger, who are just smarter. That too.
Good to hire smart people.
Yeah.
Big believer in that one.
Yeah.
So I got to say, I love this place. I don't come here as often as I want to or should. I recommend people come here at least once a year to go shopping. It's probably good that I'm not here every month, because I'd probably go broke buying everything. But I just love all the different stuff, and there's just so much cool stuff that you could. And I do a Friday email, and I know I've promoted this place along with some of the other galleries around Christmas time.
Thank you.
Is shop locally, and you
yeah.
can definitely find some cool stuff here. Love everything that you're doing here. Anything in particular you want to promote before we wrap this up?
Let me just say this one thing. Now, you just reminded me for Christmas. We've been doing this for 22 years now. So every December 24th, we have something called the Man Sale. And you men out there, do not take offense to this, but we know you, and we know that that's the day that you shop for Christmas, like the only day.
Right.
That's your day. So although it's not truly a sale in the sense that everything's on sale, reduced price, because the artists in the galleries set their prices for what they can afford to sell. But so we have myself and one of our artists, Joy Hannon, who is a jeweler, silversmith, or metalsmith. I guess she does gold as well. And we are the elves of the Man Sale. So we offer man food, which is whatever men like to eat, which in our estimation is a lot of things.
I want to hear this list.
Okay. So the list is there's always those little hot dogs in what are they called? Pigs in a blanket.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's always pigs in a blanket. So yep, and usually sausage balls, ham biscuits. Sometimes there's a pizza. Cookies, pickles, chips, and
If you had a couch and a TV with football, I'm here.
This is it. All that kind of food, like game day food. And then sometimes people will bring some food in with them. We always have donuts. And Joy and I always start our day with mimosas. So we start out at 9:30 or 10 with champagne and orange juice. And then we move then we also have coolers of beer.
Wow.
And this is for the
How
men.
am I just finding out
I
about
don't know,
this?
John, but I'm just here to tell you got to come this year.
We need to promote this.
So, and of course there's coffee for those people who need coffee, sodas and non-alcoholic drinks for people who don't want to drink beer in the middle of the day, although I do highly recommend it on December 24th. It's a lot of fun. And so we just help people find things for their loved ones, and we gift wrap everyone. So we do lots of wrapping, and everybody leaves happy, and there so many times.
You need to get a banner planned for that.
I'm telling you. And so my husband and his buddies will meet here and shop and drink beer and eat whatever the food is of the day, and it's awesome. And many times you just have these little congregations of friends show up here and meet and have a beer or two and shop and go home, and their gift is ready to go. So it's really fun. Yeah, that's been a fun tradition.
That is great. What are your hours? What are your hours of operation?
Okay, we are open Monday through Saturday. At this time of the year, we're 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then in the summers, we're open till 6 p.m.
6 days a week till 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Got it. And website, what's your website name?
Well, it's KDHcooperative.com. So, but there's another URL, which is obxlocalarts.com. So
They'll both find.
They'll both take you there.
Excellent.
And I think that there's links on our Facebook page and our Instagram page to go there too. So that's frequently how people get to there.
Excellent.
But our website, I would say, is not. It's a sleepy little town.
Well, what do you recommend then?
Oh, for sure recommend Facebook and Insta.
Facebook.
Yeah,
Excellent.
because we're doing that more frequently, and the
Sure.
website is.
Yeah, it is. I will admit,
Yeah.
it's easier to manipulate a Facebook page
Yeah,
instead of
for
trying to add stuff to your website. I get
Always.
it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
And we are on South Croatan Highway. We are just south of Collington Road and just north of what's the bar restaurant next door?
Outer Banks Brewing Station.
Sorry, my brain froze up for me for a second there. Outer Banks Brew Station, which is under new ownership right now, and yeah.
In fact, as a little sidebar, I've loved the brewing station folks all these years. We opened within 1 week of each other.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And I do recall when they were under construction, they had the little, I don't know if you call that a silo out there or
Yeah,
whatever, but
yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. So we were neck and neck trying to get open.
So you could hear them crying and they could hear you
Oh,
crying.
gosh, yeah. In fact, I think we ran a hose one time from over, because we had water long before they had water because we were an existing building. So they ran a hose across the canal. They needed water for a little while.
Oh, man.
And we've done a bunch of art projects for them.
That's cool.
Yeah, really been great with them.
That's awesome. Great. Well, Julie, a great pleasure to have you on the show. I appreciate you sitting down and taking a
My
few minutes.
pleasure. Thank you very much.
A big thank you to Julie Moye for joining me for that podcast. I greatly appreciate it. And I will definitely be putting Christmas Eve on my calendar to go hang out down at the studio and enjoy all the stuff that's going on there. So be sure to check her out at KDH Cooperative on the Bypass in Kill Hills. And until next time, make it a good one.